The crypto market continues to be a bloodbath. And in today's live stream, I'm going to break down exactly why most altcoins are down 10 to 20% today. And I'm going to break down where I see us going in the coming weeks. If that sounds interesting, please make sure to leave a like on this live stream. And if you are new, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Also, don't forget, guys, to check out the major sale we are doing on Cyber Monday. This will be expiring within the next 24 hours or so. So make sure to take full advantage of this sale if you are interested in any of my membership options. That includes the 3-month VIP, the yearly VIP, lifetime VIP, and the big bundle. I think it also includes the monthly VIP. Just use the code CYBER at checkout. The link is down below. This will be expiring very soon, and this will be your best chance to get in on any of my memberships at a very reasonable price. Now, the crypto market continues downwards. We've been monitoring this bear market since we lost the 50-week moving average, and quite frankly, I was warning about signs of this market going down way before we lost the 50-week moving average. The warning signs were there. I came onto this YouTube channel and at exactly 126K, these were my exact words. I said, it is more likely than not that Bitcoin has topped this cycle. And the amount of grief that I got from people for saying that was absolutely absurd. The signs were there for me that that was the top for Bitcoin. Now, I'll admit, there was one thing I was wrong about, and this was a pretty big thing I was wrong about, and that was the rotation into altcoins. We didn't get a rotational move into altcoins subsequent to the Bitcoin top. But I stuck to the plan. I stuck to the invalidation point, which many of you know, I've been drilling it into you now for months. It was the 50-week moving average. And because of the 50-week moving average, I was able to sell my portfolio around $96,000 for Bitcoin. And, you know, I'm very, very glad that I was able to do that, because as of right now, we are well below that. We're at 85,000. And if we don't start moving pretty soon, I think we're going to be going a hell of a lot lower than that. So we've got a lot to monitor. I'm going to break it all down for you in today's live stream. All I ask from you is that you drop a like on the stream. It helps out more than you can imagine. You know, there's a lot of moon boy YouTubers out there. There's a lot of people spreading absolute nonsense in this market. And I'm here to just say it how it is. You know, I haven't really got any bias. I love Bitcoin. I love alts. I love making money. At the end of the day, I have no allegiance to one specific coin. I'm just in this space to try and make money, and I'll sell if that protects my wealth. So we're going to discuss everything here. We're going to discuss all of the warning signs. You know, I was on this YouTube channel at 126 warning people that that was potentially the top for Bitcoin. And, you know, I think pretty much everyone agrees now that that was the cyclical top. Does that mean Bitcoin will never go above 126K? Of course not. We will go above 126K at some point. Might even be next year. Might even be mid next year. Might even be late next year. But for me, what defines the top is that we will now have a prolonged period of downward price action. And I think you can even say that we've been in a bear market now for a couple of months. Right? We've been in a bear market now, looking back, for a couple of months. And that's one of the issues of a bear market is by the time you know you're in a bear market, you're already sometimes some way from the top. So we got confirmation here that this was the start of the bear market when we had a weekly close below the 50-week moving average. That for me was the sell signal. You guys know that I was buying into Bitcoin and altcoins since 2022. The vast majority of the capital I deployed into this market was in this price range here between kind of 30K Bitcoin and 15K Bitcoin. That is why I managed to make so much money this cycle. That is why I managed to make millions of dollars in profits this cycle, despite it being a very lackluster bull market, is because of the timing of when I bought. I understand that many people join this space above 80K Bitcoin, and therefore many of you guys are actually looking at this and you haven't made much money, right? Maybe you joined into the crypto market when Trump was getting elected around 80K, 90K, something like that. You probably haven't made amazing gains this bull market. Now, look, there's been some wins here and there, the likes of Avantis, 10x in 10 days, and some other examples. But overall, if you look at most altcoins, you know, it hasn't been a great cycle, especially for those who would have joined kind of after this big wave here, right? Most of the gains this bull market were actually made from 15K up to 74K. That is where the majority of the gains were made. From this point onwards, honestly, most altcoins were kind of in bear markets. Like, they didn't really do anything special. So that's been pretty devastating. But obviously, like I said, if you got good entry points and you rotated your capital throughout the cycle, you would have made, you would have made some money, maybe a 3x, maybe a 5x, maybe if you're lucky a 10x. But, those 100x's and stuff like that, they were never to be for this cycle. And I've been warning people that this was going to be a lackluster cycle all along. So here we are, 85K. The low that we made previously was 80K. Are we coming back down to that low is the question. And if we go below that low, then where is the next target? So for me, if Bitcoin cannot hold on to that 80K level, we're definitely coming down to 74. That's the way I see it, because that is the next major level. We take it level by level on this channel. So if we lose 80K, the next level is 74. If we lose 74, the next level for me would be the 200-week moving average. It is that simple. That is how simple it is for me. That is my level by level analysis. All of this trading action here, for me, there's nothing clear pointing towards any level there really being a low. I mean, you could go back to 2021 and say maybe the 2021 bull market all-time high could be a potential low. It's possible, right? Maybe 69K is a potential low after losing 74. So, maybe we draw 69K on the line. But then for me, we're coming down to the 200-week moving average. And I almost think it is an inevitability that we come down to the 200-week moving average at some point next year. It might be early next year. It might be late next year. It might be mid next year. We don't know. But at some point, Bitcoin is going to tag the 200-week moving average, as it always does when it loses the 50. And that is exactly why I sold my entire portfolio after Bitcoin lost the 50. Because I looked historically and I saw that every time we lose the 50, we come down to the 200. Pretty much every single time we've done it, that has been what's followed. And typically it can be 2 to 6 months, 2 to 8 months after losing the 50. All right. Everyone wants to know, when is the bottom going to be? I don't know. It might be next month, might be in 3 months, might be in 8 months, might be in a year. But I know the bottom will be somewhere around the 200-week moving average, maybe a little bit below, maybe slightly above. But it's going to be somewhere around that level, in my view. Now, I hope that this is a very quick bear market. That's my hope. My hope is this can be a quick bear market. We can get that 200-week moving average over with within a matter of months. That's what I'm hoping for. But hope is a very dangerous word when it comes to investing and trading. So although I have that hope, although I have that market that I want, I don't trade the market that I want, right? So I hope and I dream that we go down to 56K next month, because I'm all in cash. I'd love that. But that's not a reality, right? We have traps, just like we had a rally last week up to 93K. Everyone thought the bull market was back on. And this brings me to my post on X, where I said we will have a rally that will be to a lower high and everyone will call for a new all-time high on Bitcoin. Now, I got a few DMs actually from big bundle members of mine who have access to one-to-one messaging. I'm a very busy guy, so I can't allow everyone to one-to-one message me. Otherwise, I'd have thousands of people messaging me all the time. But I had a few people on my highest tier, actually, when we were at 93K, message me and say, starting to get a bit worried. I'm in stables. I'm worried about missing out. I fear missing out. I fear missing out on this rally. Is this time different? Are we going to rally to new all-time highs? That's what everyone was saying. All I did was say, I'm sticking to my plan. Sticking to my plan. I've outlined my plan very clearly to all of you, very transparently. I've saved many people, actually, from further losses. But I've been very transparent about my plan. You lose a 50 week, I'll buy at the 200. That's my buy zone. The 200 week is my buy zone for Bitcoin and for alts, because alts just follow Bitcoin at this point. And they always have, to be honest. If, however, we miraculously go on some crazy rally now and get back above the 50 week, then I'll rebuy back in at my entry price. Or maybe even it will be a bit below my entry price, because if you look at the 50 week, it's a lagging indicator. It's only just starting to move down now. So maybe by the time we hypothetically broke above the 50, it'd be in the 90s, maybe, if that was to miraculously play out in the next few weeks. So either way, it's a win-win. If we have a miraculous pump now, I'll buy back in at prices lower than which I sold. Or if we have a bear market, well, I'm all in cash, I'm all in stables, I can wait for the 200 week to be hit, and then I can deploy back in. So that's always been my plan. And I'm sticking to it. I'm not deviating away from the plan. It's worked very well so far. Like I said, I've made a 6x this bull market realized now. That is not unrealized. 6x in value. I wish it was much more. At one point, I was close to 20x up. But we rode bags down, blah, 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 right? Sui was up $5 something at one point. I was selling at $5, but I was only selling 10%, 20%, 30% of the bag instead of the whole bag, which I should have done. But shoulda, woulda, coulda. We can't always look back in hindsight. Now, there is a little bit of bullish hopium to look at, and that is the monthly close. The monthly close kept the structure for total market cap. So based off the monthly close, was still in a bull run, I guess, if you look at total market cap. But that is really the hopium I'm going off right now. Like, I've been looking at Bitcoin. Bitcoin lost the 50 week, so pretty bearish for Bitcoin. Bitcoin lost its logarithmic support band. Pretty bearish for Bitcoin. Bitcoin also lost its linear support band. Pretty bearish for Bitcoin. But if you look at total market cap, we're still on this support zone, which we have hit a few times. Now, this is a bit of a stretch, I've got to say, but you want a balanced opinion, right? I'm not going to give you all the bearish takes. Just because I'm macro bearish doesn't mean every single chart is bearish. There's some things out there pointing to potential upside. And I really wouldn't be surprised here if we get some form of a relief bounce. Okay, so we're talking short term here now. I don't want people to be confused. We're talking short term. Ethereum is at a macro golden pocket. This goes back to April. From the April low of 1.3K to the August high, Ethereum's in a macro golden pocket here. I would say 8 times out of 10, when you get a macro golden pocket like this with oversold signals, you typically get some form of a bounce. Typically. So it wouldn't surprise me here if we do get some form of a relief bounce on Ethereum. Now, not to all-time highs. Not to all-time highs, but maybe to 3K, maybe to 4K, something like that. And then maybe we go lower. Who knows? I'm just laying out scenarios here. But I'll tell you this. If Ethereum loses this golden pocket here, if it loses this golden pocket, we're going down to 1.3K. I'm sorry to say, but that is what's happening if we lose this golden pocket. We're going down to 1.3. We're going to maybe do a double bottom at those April lows. Time's going to tell. But for me, this is really like the key level for Ethereum. Some would say, oh, it'll find support at the 786, or oh, it'll find support at the 886. But honestly, I think Ethereum losing the golden pocket, that would kind of be the nail in the coffin, and that would bring us down. So That's how I see Ethereum playing out. Pretty make or break right now for Ethereum. But yeah, I put out on X, I expect a relief bounce at some point, and everyone will say the bull market is back on. Most likely, it will be a sucker rally and a lower high on BTC. That is exactly what we just got. Many people were ready to say the bull market's back on. People were laughing at me. Can you believe it? People were laughing at me saying, you sold your whole portfolio. You're an idiot. We didn't even get close, really. I mean, we kind of got close, but I sold my portfolio at 96K. We came up to 93, and that was the absolute high. Then we came crashing back down. So at any point during that rally, I could have bought back in had I wanted to at lower prices than I sold. So where's the humor exactly? Doesn't make sense to me, but people have any form of... People will do anything to try and cope, I've noticed in this market. People will do anything to try and make themselves feel better. They'll move the goalpost. At one point, their invalidation point was the 50-week moving average, and then they'll say, actually, forget the 50. Now my invalidation point is the 100-week moving average. And then maybe you lose the 100-week moving average, and then they say, actually, 74K is my invalidation point. And then you lose 74K, and then they'll say, actually, 200-week. Or actually 2021 all-time high, 69K. They'll keep on moving the goalpost, keep on lowering their invalidation point to try and make themselves feel better. And that's one of the reasons why most people in crypto get absolutely wrecked, is they don't have an invalidation point, they don't have a stop loss point, they don't have a get out point, and they just bag hold all the way back down to their entries, and most likely even lower than their entries. Anyway, we got a $2 Canadian donation from Ben Shaw. Was 2025 the bear market? 10 out of 12 months were red. I get what you're trying to say, but if you look at total market cap, made a new all-time high. If you look at total 3, it made a new all-time high. If you look at Bitcoin, it made a new all-time high. If you look at Ethereum, it made a new all-time high. If you look at Solana, did it make a new all-time high in January? It made a new all-time high. If you look at XRP, did XRP make a new all-time high? Anyway, basically all the crypto has made a new all-time high in the top 5. How can you say that was a bear market? That was not a bear market. Maybe it was a bear market for some shit coins, meme coins, gaming coins, low caps. You can't say it was a bear market when pretty much all of the top coins made a new all-time high. That's not what a bear market is like. A bear market in crypto means the top coins go down 70 to 90%. The top coins. Your mid caps, your micro caps dip 99.9%. Not 99%, but 99.9%. That's a bear market. This was not a bear market. This was just a lackluster bull market, which is actually what I've been describing all along. I don't ever remember on this channel saying we will have a parabolic blow-off top bull market. I don't remember ever saying that. I constantly said this will be a lackluster bull market, and that is why I was selling altcoins. Do you remember the trend line I used to show you, the linear trend line on Bitcoin? There's a reason I was selling altcoins at 117K Bitcoin. Because there was warning signs. I took like a quarter of my portfolio out of the market and bought property. People were calling me an idiot for that. Why are you selling your portfolio to buy property? Because crypto is risky. And when you're up 10x on your money, you should probably take some profits. So anyway, this market continues to bleed. But as I said, I do expect some short-term relief because, I mean, have you guys seen the daily candles on some of these coins? The daily candles have been brutal. I mean, let's just play a little game. Let's go and look at some of the daily candles of cryptos. Let's look at some of the daily candles. So These daily candles have just given back all the gains. I mean, look at this one on Sui. This has given back all those gains in one day. All those gains we just made in the last week or two, or whatever it's been. Feels like 2 weeks. It wasn't even that long. All those gains we've made, gone. That's the say. That's the say daily chart. Casper daily chart, not as bad, but still pretty brutal. ETH daily chart. I mean, look, it's just giving back all those gains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days of pumping almost, given back in like 2 or 3 hours, whatever it was, right? Most of the dump occurred straight after the weekly close. And I wanted to get into the reasoning behind the dump. So part of it was just normal manipulation after a monthly and weekly close. But the other part, a lot of people are missing, a lot of people aren't talking about this, is the Bank of Japan decision in December. So look at the timing here. 4 a.m. December 1st. So that's 4 a.m. my time. Basically right at the weekly close. The weekly close, I think, happens 4 a.m. Dubai time, something like that. 4 or 5 a.m. Right on time at the weekly close. I want everyone to pay attention to this, because some people don't know about this. If you're in my VIP group, you know exactly about this, because we've been talking about the Bank of Japan decision constantly in the Discord voice chats that we have. So the Bank of Japan interest rate decision was sat around 50% going into the weekly close. Then all of a sudden, it absolutely spikes to the upside in favor of a 25 basis point increase, not a decrease, an increase, a hike. As of right now, there is only a 22% chance that the Bank of Japan hold the rates where they are. Over 75% chance that they actually increase their interest rate. Now, you might be thinking, what's Japan got to do with crypto? What's the Bank of Japan's decision got to do with crypto? Well, it's all to do with global liquidity. We know how liquid crypto is. It's probably the most liquid asset class. You can sell within an instance. You can send $10 million globally within an instance. Or with it instantly, you can do it. And we know how sensitive the crypto market is to global liquidity. Now, the Bank of Japan is known for their low rates because of the weak yen and all the issues they're having with their economy over in Japan. I was actually in Japan a couple of weeks ago. Great country. Spent a couple of weeks in Japan, actually, and really enjoyed it. But the yen is really, really weak. You can go there. I was buying watches and things like that in Japan a lot cheaper than what you can buy in the West or in Europe or, places like that. Because their currency is so weak, you can almost arbitrage things. And, the cost of living, if you go there with your money, it's relatively cheap considering it's a wealthy country. But, the interest rate decision for Japan has big effects on global liquidity because so many people are utilizing the low rates of Japan to buy assets, to buy equities, to buy crypto, to buy all this stuff. So if you increase the rates, it's not good. It's not good at all. And we've seen the Japanese carry trade play out already with Bitcoin. Remember when we dumped down to like 47K or whatever it was last year? Directly linked to Japan. So this is massive. And I don't see enough people talking about it. I see maybe 1 or 2 YouTubers talk about it, but most YouTubers aren't discussing this. And in my opinion, this is more important than the actual FOMC that Powell's about to deliver, because we all know they're going to cut. This could really cause a shock to the markets. Yeah, in a real crypto bear market, everything goes down basically 99%, besides the coins in the top 10. Yeah, there's a lot of people in denial right now. A lot of people saying that we're nowhere near a bear market and this is just a correction and all of that. Like I said, I still think we're going to have some form of a relief bounce. I made myself very clear about that. But that doesn't take away the structural damage we have done to BTC. Now, Ethereum is still somewhat intact because it's on a golden pocket. Total market cap is still somewhat intact. So I got to be honest with you, it's not entirely bearish. But BTC has lost an unbelievable amount of levels. It really has. And I feel like I'm always listing them, but I assume maybe there's some people listening right now who are brand new to the channel. Bitcoin lost the 50-week moving average. It lost the bull market support band. It lost the 109K previous all-time high. It lost a logarithmic trend line stemming all the way back to the start of the cycle. It lost a linear trend line. It lost a golden pocket. All of these things were lost on a close. So, yeah, it's been pretty brutal for BTC. Haven't actually checked in on dominance in a while. I would assume dominance has actually gone up a little bit. Let's check. BTC.D. Has it gone up a little bit? Let's see. It's gone up a little bit in the last couple of weeks. But it's not really moving much, right? It's just hovering around that 60% level. Yeah, dominance is kind of boring right now. But that's the daily on crypto bubbles. Sea of red. The Russell 2000 had a huge rally. Yeah, good point. You know, the Russell 2000 and Total 3 have been following each other so closely this entire cycle, but I noticed signs that they've decoupled actually, because the Russell 2000 almost made a new all-time high last week. Got very close. It was closing in on a new all-time high, and it might even make a new all-time high this week or next week. But Total 3 has significantly retraced. So it's almost like crypto now is no longer following the macro. Like, look at the S&P 500 today. The S&P 500 is down 15 basis points. Basically nothing. It hasn't even dumped. It's net neutral, essentially, the S&P 500. Yet, that same day, Bitcoin's down 6%. And was down even more than that. I think it was down like 8% at the lows or something. So, we're decoupling away from the stock market in a bad manner. Not in a good way. My stock portfolio today is neutral. Maybe tiny, tiny sliver down. But the crypto market's capitulating. Others is down almost 7% today. So it's not looking good. You know, when crypto starts decoupling from the macro, you know that there is some systemic weaknesses with the crypto market. Because so far, Bitcoin has been following the QQQ, and Total 3 has been following the Russell 2000. They've been very closely aligned. But we're starting to see some form of detachment between the two. Which coin will 100x from here? Yeah, typically we do get a bounce. Like, usually you get a relief bounce higher than what we had. Typically we actually retest the 50-week, but as resistance. So, man, why is this white? Let me make it black. There we go. So you can see the 50-week is this black line up here. Typically, when you lose it, you come back up and retest it, but flip previous support into resistance. That's usually what you do. Now, the thing is, it's moving down. So maybe by the time we get there, it's not even that much different to the price we're at right now, depending on when/if we hit it. I mean, if we go up and hit it next week, then yeah, it's going to be quite high. It's going to be around 100K. But if we chop around, the 50 week's going to start coming down. which means your relief bounce might even not get past 100K. For me, this move here wasn't enough to truly call that like a macro lower high. That was barely anything last week. I think we do need a couple of consecutive green weeks to truly get everyone bullish and then just get them wrecked. I think that's probably what the market makers will do. But obviously, time's going to tell. There's so many possibilities. I am open to loads of possibilities. I made it very clear. If we are to get some sort of crazy rally and we get above the 50-week on a weekly close, then I will flip bullish again. And like I said, I'll buy back in at the same prices I sold, or maybe even lower than the prices I sold. So I am open to possibilities. I'm not like set in my ways and stubborn. That's exactly how you lose money in this market, is by being set in your ways and stubborn. So if we look at the biggest losers today, Zcash down 21%, SPX 6900 down 15%, Sui continuing to absolutely get wrecked. Very glad I sold my Sui, and I'm very glad I was actually taking big profits on Sui when it was around $4 to $5. Again, another time people were calling me crazy for taking profits, but don't listen to the noise. Don't listen to people's opinions. I get a lot of people's opinions because I'm a content creator. I get them every day, get comments every day, get X posts every day. If I listened to people's opinions, I would be wrecked this cycle. If I just listened to myself more than I did, I would have made more money. Someone asked me in the Discord, what is your biggest lesson this cycle? I thought it was a great question. Really interesting question. People gave different answers. Some people said not taking profits. Some people said following the wrong YouTubers. My answer was doubting myself sometimes and listening to other people sometimes. My answer was I should have just trusted myself even more, because there's been times where and I'm not blaming anyone else. That's not what I'm here to do. I've only got myself to blame for any mistakes I ever make. I have accountability. But there's been times where I've sold 20% of a coin, 30% of a coin. And in my head, I was saying I should sell all of it. But that thought of what other people are saying, or that thought of maybe it keeps going higher, that's one of the things that even I could improve on for next cycle. It's just trusting yourself, not doubting yourself. Because sometimes I have half-assed take profit alerts. I only sold 30% of a coin when I should have just sold the whole lot. So that should be a lesson for everyone. If you're up big on a coin, don't just sell 25%. Don't just sell 30%. Don't just take your initial out. Now, don't get me wrong. Selling your initial, it protects you. You can't lose money when you sell your initial. But sometimes selling your initial, it's like half-assing it. You should just go heavy with the selling. Sell 100%, sell 80%. Don't just sell your initial. Thank God I sold my crypto portfolio in November. Thanks for the heads up, Archie. Yeah, no problem, man. Happy to hear you protected yourself. Which altcoins did you buy in the bear market? I saw Solana at $20. Yeah, I didn't buy. Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like, there was a guy in the VIP earlier saying, I'm going to come back when times are good. And he didn't mean any harm, but the thing is, coming back when times are good is how you become exit liquidity. You need to be the most active person in crypto when times are bad. That's where the money's made. Going away when times are bad and coming back when times are good, that's how you end up buying Solana at $100 rather than $8. Solana actually went way below $20. It went to $8 per coin. That's where Solana went. And if you were still around, if you stuck around, there was a solid chance you would have bought Solana at $8. Now, I bought some other coins instead of Solana. I was buying AI coins, which pumped a lot. I made a 14x on Singularity Net. Does anyone remember that? I made a 50 to 100x as well. I was staggering taking profits on Viot. So I was buying some other coins other than Solana, which outperformed Solana actually. But If you just wanted to be safe, you could have bought Solana at $8. But the problem is people leave when time gets hard. And those people don't deserve to make money. If you quit when times get hard, if you leave the space, I don't mean you should just keep buying the dip. I'm out. I'm in stables, and I've been in stables for a few weeks now. But I'm still laser focused on this market. I'm still uploading on this channel. I'm still in the VIP voice chats every single day because I know that it is the worst time to go on a massive hiatus when the market's dipping. Because then you can truly see which projects are building still, which projects are still getting partnerships, and which projects are falling behind. You have to stick around during the hard times. If you leave just because times are hard, you don't deserve to make money. You're too weak. Weak people don't deserve to make money. The strong people who stick around, the disciplined people who stick around, those are the people who end up making money. Who knows? Maybe Sui goes down to 50 cents. Maybe it goes down to my insane entry of 70 cents on Sui, 76 cents, whatever it was. And we can rebuy back into Sui at those insane prices. But if you leave because it's hard right now, you're going to miss it. You'll only find out when it's pumping. You'll buy back in higher. Anyway, which altcoin should I buy? You were asking about the bear market. It's going to be difficult to know as of right now, but the alts that continue building and the charts don't look completely obliterated. Like, I don't want a coin that look like ICP, right? Like, it has to look somewhat intact. Even though it's had a bear market and maybe it's down 80, 90%, it still needs to look somewhat intact. Like, it needs to respect the levels, the altcoin. Like, even if Sui went down to 60 cents, it would still look somewhat intact because it came down to a previous level, right? But if it goes down to 10 cents, then it just got completely destroyed. So there's a few things that I look at in terms of like buying an alt in the bear market. It needs to somewhat respect its structure still, even if it still dips a lot. They need to still be building. They need to still be getting partnerships. Those would be the signs for me to buy back into a coin in the bear market. The reality is a lot of coins that I've been bullish on this bull market, they're not going to make it through the bear market. They'll be gone, forgotten about. So Bitcoin losing 85K right now, 84.9. I've laid out the levels that I'm looking at. Like I said, if we lose 80K, the next stop will be 74 for me. And if we lose 74, then the next stop will be 69, the previous ATH for BTC of 2021's bull market. And then if you lose that, then I see us most likely making a move down to that 200-week moving average. Personally, I see that anyway. I think that these levels will all get lost eventually. It's just a matter of time. But yeah, I see Bitcoin moving down to that 200-week at some point. Hopefully, I've been making myself very clear about that. So yeah, this comment here is exactly how everyone felt when Trump got elected. New president, pro-crypto, crypto reserve, new SEC, blah, 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 blah. What happened to the market? People need to understand that technicals mean more than fundamentals or news events. The technicals price in most of this stuff you're already talking about weeks and months in advance. Do you not think Bitcoin investors know that QE is going to be coming eventually. They price things in. If it was as simple as, oh, we're getting QE, we're getting rate cuts, we're getting this. If it was that simple, everyone in crypto would be multimillionaires. These things get priced in way before anyone can even conceptualize it. And I'm not saying they're fully priced in. I'm not saying that. I do think there's some merit to what you're saying. There are some potential bullish catalysts mid to late next year. And that's why I probably think we will rally mid to late next year. But at the same time, what I'm saying is we've had technical breakdowns on the chart. So clearly the market is kind of ignoring some of those things because of something else, something more important. You know, you can have loads of bullish catalysts in the future, but if the market is flashing sell, you ought to sell. Just like, and this is a mistake I made this cycle, I was taking profits up here, but nowhere near as much as I should have. Sorry, that's the wrong one. I'm looking at 2021. It's almost 11 p.m. here, guys. I'm a bit tired. Where are we? 109. 109K. Here we are. It's been a long day. So I was taking some profits up here, but nowhere near as much as I should have. And it was exactly because of what you're saying. Trump's getting in. It's going to be bullish. Blah, blah, blah. Not looking at the technicals, which at this point in time were flashing sell. The chart prime indicators, look. These are the indicators I use. They were flashing sell. Overbought, down reversal. Clear as day. Flashing sell on the weekly. Clear as day. So the technicals are flashing sell, yet the fundamentals, oh my God, Trump's getting in. It's going to be amazing. Trump mania, blah, blah, blah. Didn't matter. Already priced in. Not a coincidence that January 20th, the day of the inauguration, was the top. That's because the market priced it in. So don't get into this trap of thinking that the technicals don't mean anything and it's all about fundamentals. That's how people lose money. So, yeah, we've covered most things. If you're just tuning in, make sure to rewatch the live stream in its entirety. There's a massive promo campaign available right now on Blowfin. If you use my link down below, there is a trading competition, exclusive campaign. I believe this is the biggest campaign yet. So highly recommend getting in on that. Where can I learn TA? Well, I'm doing weekly TA classes in the VIP Discord. So I recommend signing up to that. I'm doing classes on moving averages, classes on fibs. We're going to be doing a class on patterns. There's going to be a lot to learn. So that is where I would say is the best place. You also get loads of other benefits as well. And it's on a huge sale, as Mr. J has just posted it there. Use the code CYBER, CYBER at checkout for Cyber Monday. This Black Friday and Cyber Monday sale has been our biggest sale yet. So take advantage of that. But yeah, the Blowfin link is down below. This is what I'm currently trading on. This is where I make all my moves in the market. And yeah, the campaign that we're currently running is a huge one. There's some massive potential rewards to be given. But you got to read all the information on it. If you hit the link down below, you'll be into it. So thanks everyone for tuning in. Get yourselves in the Discord so you can join the most active community out there. Voice chats every day. You can talk to me on the voice chats. Text channels, which are open all the time. People talking in them 24/7. A professional chartist giving out charting alerts. Check it all out. It's down below. Thank you all for tuning in. Have a great rest of